Hey y'all, it's Jestina Keys here doing a Beast Boy makeup tutorial for you. Let's get started. So the first thing that I did was prepped my ear prosthetics already with the same face paint that I will be using. I'm going to apply them first, so this is my Ben Nye liquid latex. Basically what you want to do is just brush it on the inner point of the ear and then fit it to your ear. I got these appliances off of Etsy, so they gave me a little bit of extra to them so that I could cut it to fit my ear. I was having a little bit of trouble doing it. It's always easier to apply it to another person than it is to yourself, considering you can't really see. Yeah, there we go. I'd also like to point out that I find it easier to hold all of my hair back with the wig cap since I'm going to have to put it on anyway, and it's easier to not have to put it on over your ear prosthetics, which you're going to want to go ahead and repeat the steps that you just did for one ear with the other prosthetic. Simple as that. I also like to point out that I put in my contacts beforehand, which most people don't do, but I have prescription contacts. Now what I'm doing is using liquid latex to blend the edges of the ear prosthetics with my actual ear. I'm going to let it fan in a little bit, let it dry so it's a little bit more tacky as opposed to liquidy. And while I'm doing that, I'm taking Kryolan's Aqua Color in Pea Green, which is the body paint that I use to paint the ears, and I'm also going to use to paint my face and neck. So it's an aqua color, meaning it's a water-based paint, so what you do is you take your sponge, you wet it, and then you can pick up the product. It won't activate until you wet your applicator brush or sponge. I like to use a sponge because I find it easier. So you just want to blot that all over your face. It's okay if it's patchy because you're going to put on several coats of this to get it as opaque as you need it to be, believe me. I often forget to put the suit on and check exactly where I need to go with my neck, so I think I went a little bit further down than I needed to, but it's better to be safe than sorry. It's also a little messy, it gets all over. So then after you do your paint, you can take baby powder. I take Ben Nye's neutral set. You just want to take the translucent powder, blot that all over your face in between each coat of paint that you put on to set it so that you don't end up reactivating the paint that you already put down and smudging it when you put on another coat, as I'm doing here. And you basically just keep repeating until, paint and then set and paint and then set, which again, baby powder works fine too if you don't want to get Ben Nye's translucent powder, which I like. But you keep doing that until you get it to the opacity that you want your skin texture to be. I'm relatively pretty particular, so I think I did 4, maybe even 5 coats on here, and at some point, I think around the second or third coat, I went and got my ears and redid the ear prosthetics, because after I put the translucent powder on them, they got lighter than what my skin became. And then once I got it to the opacity that I wanted, I used Ben Nye's Final Seal, which I highly recommend. I think I spent about $8 on this little bottle. It's very minty. It's basically a high-powered setting spray. You just don't want to get it in your eyes or your mouth because that burns. And despite being minty, it doesn't taste that good. But basically, close your eyes, suck in a deep breath, spray it all over. Wait a little bit before you release, and then you're good to go. So then after that, I took a fine brush, took more of what I needed to make my eyes more green, and then started contouring my face with black because I didn't have a dark enough green. I didn't use too much because I didn't want it to get too thick or be too hard to blend. And then I dragged it down because you want to get a more masculine shape since it is Beast Boy. Creating that angular jawline. Never hurts to blend with your finger every so often. Then I started contouring the outside of my nose to make it look a little bit thicker, more beast-like, if you will. Still using that same black and that same brush. I just use a regular black eyeshadow. And then you want to get the under part of your nose. And right around your temples. And then I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I decided to touch up my cheeks a little bit. Since I was done there, I just took that same black shadow and filled in my eyebrows. Beast Boy's got some pretty thick, angular eyebrows. I just looked at a picture. Mind you, I'm going off of OG Beast Boy from Teen Titans, but I mean, he pretty much looks the same in Teen Titans Go. It never hurts to look at a reference picture. Alright, so the one's a little thicker. Who cares? Then I decided to add a little bit of contour into my ears to give it that kind of a depth, but I don't really know how well it is translating in this video. Then I just took a bit of a sparkly green eyeshadow just because I felt like my eyes needed a little bit of a pop. And I put that over the lids. And now I'm highlighting my cheekbones with that same green shadow that I put on my eyelids. Highlighting my cupid's bow. And the bridge of my nose. Now, with a dark green liquid liner, you could also use black, but I feel like dark green works a little bit better. I'm lining my eyes. Of course, I'm giving myself a wing, because who doesn't love a nice wing? Gonna thicken it up just a little bit. I like to fan it. Normally I'll set it with a shadow, but again I didn't have a dark green shadow. So I'm taking a little bit of Vaseline with cocoa butter to moisturize my lips. It's very important that I moisturize them. And that you do too. Gotta keep it hydrated. And with a black liquid lipstick, fill them in. Now it's time for the fun part. Here I'm using Scarecrow's werewolf teeth. I've pre-molded them to fit my teeth. Kind of. It's having a little bit of trouble. And then I went to the bottoms. Doing my best. We'll get back to that later. For now, I'm taking a stipple sponge, and in Ben Nye's cream makeup, I'm taking a bit of the black cream on it to give Beast Boy his freckles. I like to blot the excess on my hand first so that there isn't too much product, and then I blot it over my nose and cheeks. There you go. And there it is, the perfectionist in me. And finally got the teeth working once I got into the full cosplay. Guess I just needed to change. Until next time.